What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video on Bitcoin because yesterday it went before Congress, Bitcoin and crypto. The leaders of like the big exchanges, the FTX CEO was there, the Coinbase CFO was there, and the Paxos CEO, I believe, was there, and some other people that I'm not actually naming or know exactly what was there, but a lot of these top crypto guys were there and answering questions about, this whole industry and trying to, teach Congress something and see if everything's going all right. And the talks actually were pretty decent for the most part. But before we jump into that, if you are not subscribed, make sure you smash that sub button because we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But there's always got to be one person who is trying to troll and get that social media clip, and he successfully got it. But this is from the Best Business Show. You can see, obviously, right here, Anthony Pompliano's show. Great information, great show. But he talks about, or shows this clip of the congressman trying to act like he's doing something.
Now, the number one threat to cryptocurrency is crypto. Bitcoin could be displaced by Ether, which could be displaced by Dodge, which could be displaced by Hamster Coin. And then there's Cobra Coin. And what could Mongoose Coin do to crypto coin?
So obviously, not very informed, not making any sense. I mean, Mongoose Coin, next up, I guess, the next pump, and that's where everyone's going to become multimillionaires from. I'm sure Mongoose Coin is already a thing from this, but it's just crazy how instead of trying to have an intellectual conversation, discover things, ask questions, figure things out, see what regulation should look like, could look like, how it affects things, you're going and talking about things that make absolutely no sense and have no reason to be talked about. It is actually impressive that they could try and look like this, but a different clip from here is this right here, kind of talking about the congressman here, Ted Budd, saying, previous experience as head of the OCC, asked him if the U.S. government is behind the curve when it comes to fostering a pro-growth environment, and unquestionably so. This is kind of the more proactive stuff, the things that kind of matter, showing the U.S. is behind because all these other countries already have spot-backed Bitcoin ETFs for, everyday investors and hedge funds and people that want to get in that way, and the U.S. just doesn't have it for whatever reason.
There are some other places.
Can you say why we can't do that here?
Sure. It's because the Securities and Exchange Commission has consistently refused to approve products that other G20 nations have approved.
So we're behind the curve.
Unquestionably.
So given your previous experience running the OCC, I'd love to hear your perspective on where a regulator's authority begins and ends. Remember the joke earlier this year that everything's infrastructure? Well, it seems like Chairman Gensler thinks that everything is a digital asset that he can regulate.
So that is them talking, and that's at least somewhat of a good conversation here, talking about why the U.S. is behind because all these other countries and G20 nations are in this Bitcoin-backed ETF. They're doing it. They already have it launched. They have it running, and the U.S. just, for whatever reason, refuses to do so and launches a futures-based one, which nobody understands if you're not deep in the world of investing and finance and how perpetual swaps work and all that stuff. None of it makes any sense. And that is on display here. And it's crazy that the U.S. is this far behind. But something that a lot of people probably don't want to hear is at the end, they're talking like everything's infrastructure, all the money goes to everything. And then, Gary Gensler, SEC, kind of saying that they can regulate every digital asset. And obviously that's not true, but the majority of these digital assets and cryptos are securities. They are something of people literally going out, buying them based on an entity backing them and making partnerships, growing the brand or growing the crypto itself and doing this thing. And it's not based off of like Bitcoin. There is no Bitcoin HQ, Bitcoin CEO. There's no location for Bitcoin. Just the users are promoting Bitcoin and liking how it does, and it's payment rails. But things like Floki, I just saw an ad for Floki. I think it's Tom Fury. We could probably pull it up. So here it is right here, the tweet, and doesn't have hashtag ad, doesn't tell you he's getting paid. He's 1,000,000% getting paid to talk like this. the cuts in the video are terrible because he's reading a script. But right here you can see it says, "Trust me when I tell you, Floki's establishing strong partnerships all over the world." What establishes partnerships? Companies, CEOs, the securities. Floki could easily be deemed a security and an unregistered one, which means it would be taken down. You can't trade it until it registers correctly. And then you wait until they see what they do next, blah, 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 all these stuff. And that is the problem with a vast majority of cryptos that people don't want to hear. They are run like companies. They are treated like equity in a company, and you expect a brand or an entity or a CEO, someone behind it, to go and create more value for you. And it's a security. So in a way, the SEC is right with a vast majority of cryptos. And then there's a bunch of cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum already weren't ruled securities. And there's probably some other ones that I don't know exactly how the partner or the project works, but it doesn't depend on a CEO or an entity growing partnerships, developing partnerships, and doing anything. And then we see, obviously, the Florida governor vowing that his state will remain friendly to Bitcoin innovation. I think the biggest states are like Wyoming, Texas, Florida. Kentucky, I think, has like very favorable laws for Bitcoin mining and stuff. So this ultimately is probably going to come down to a state-by-state level of adoption, and it's going to be good for your state to adopt Bitcoin innovation, get those entrepreneurs, get those tech-minded people, and getting like this developed, and it's going to be good for the state, going to be good for everyone around. And I think it's going to just turn into a thing where every state wants it and could be competing for these Bitcoin miners or Bitcoin people. And we're seeing it right now with a select few states right now, but I think it's going to grow over time. And then just to end this video off, this is just absolutely hilarious. I think this is an older meme, but it's always funny to hear people freak out about Bitcoin, and the lengths they'll go to try and scare people away from Bitcoin is always a good time. But we're going to end the video off on this right here. So as always, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe, because we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next video.
Well, if Bitcoin will become the ultimate type of a form of the currency been adopted by human society, I can tell exactly what's going to happen as the worst scenario or the must scenario. We're all going to die. This is not a joke.